Oh, hi, deleted. I just saw, well, hello. You're probably the only one watching right now. I realized right before this stream started that I really need an intro video, not just the countdown video, the one that comes embedded with StreamYard, but I need like just some sort of intro video for live streams that aren't just movie reviews. I could have put the one up that I usually use for my movie reviews that we use on Soundbooth Theater when we do the cinema, but this is I'm only going to briefly talk about the mystery movie from last night, which was only at AMC, and I was the only one in our little group that saw it, so I just decided, I would go ahead and just do a stream myself. The main reason I decided that is because I also wanted to talk about LitRPG Con. I just got back from that last night. Hi, Deleted. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate that a lot. So, no, that's right. I just read that after I saw your second. No memberships. I could, but I'm kind of boring when it comes to stuff like this, and I can't think of anything creative to do for, people who are members, and I don't know that I have really much extra time to do things like special stuff just for members. So, if this were something that were full time for me and I was really trying to, if I had the time, maybe I would, but I don't, because I also have a day job with the best company ever. And I just, I don't have the energy. Sorry. I just appreciate doing what I'm doing right here, right now. Okay, so I got home yesterday evening about 4:30ish my time, and then had to turn around very soon after I landed at 4:30ish my time. Then I got home, had to turn around very soon after that to go to the AMC Theater because they had a Scream Unseen movie, which means it's a horror. And they indicated the time, which meant it was going to be less than about an hour and 35 or an hour and 40 minutes. So it wasn't, what's that one about the kids? Oh, I can't remember that upcoming one about the kids. Didn't the director of Barbarian do that? Anyway, it wasn't that, because that one's longer. The film, let me present. I actually have folders ready to go. So hold on a second. Let me share screen. I didn't take a lot of notes. I don't have a crap ton to say about this film. Okay, so here. It was The Home, you guys. Here. I'll bring up the poster. Oh my gosh. This is so annoying. Sorry. Let me make it bigger so it takes up the whole screen. There you go. It was The Home. I had seen it on my, my Regal app, and I was a little interested in it. But after having seen it, it's not very good, y'all. Not that the story itself is terrible, but I felt like the execution, the way it was directed and filmed, and the sound design, just it couldn't pull it off very well. Pete Davidson was the main actor in here. He was okay. I don't feel like he's the strongest actor. He wasn't horrendous or anything, but he just, he was okay. The premise of this one is, and I did download a few trailers, not trailers, I'm sorry. I downloaded a trailer, which I won't play, but a couple of screen like image. Yeah. If you have problems with eye stuff, and I'm talking to you, D Movie Man, if you happen to be watching this at any point, you will have a problem with this movie. There's a lot of eye stuff going on in here. Okay, now that's the trailer, so I'm not going to play that. But let me go back to the poster. Sorry, hold on. I got distracted by a text. Okay. So, oh, chainsaw, you sweet thing. Thank you. Thank you for commenting and for those kind words. I'm just briefly going over my experience with The Home. Yes, the director is a hit and miss with you. Pete Davidson wasn't so he was super annoying in that movie Bodies, 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 but that entire movie was annoying to me. I did not like the characters, so therefore I could not appreciate the story and the satire or the commentary that it was trying to get across. So this movie was written and directed by the guy who wrote and directed, I don't know if he did all of the Purge movies, but several of them. And looks like here, the producer of Halloween. Not that that means anything as far as the last two Halloween. Yeah, I don't blame you, Chainsaw. There's a lot of eye stuff in here. Not necessarily in the beginning, but once you find out what's going on, yeah, there's a lot of eye stuff. It's a little difficult, if you're twitchy about stuff like that. The basic premise is Pete Davidson plays this guy. He's a foster son, and he was very close with his foster brother. I think it was his foster brother. I don't think they were bio brothers, but they were close, like biological brothers. And the biological brother was several years older than him, and he went away to college, and then he died. And the character of Pete Davidson, I don't even remember his character's name, y'all. The character of Pete Davidson, he had a hard time recovering after that, and his life just went on this downward spiral, and he was getting into trouble. It shows him, he's doing graffiti someplace, and he gets arrested. And this is like one offense too many, and he's about ready to be incarcerated if he doesn't straighten up. Hey, Connie, thanks for stopping by. He's about to be incarcerated if he doesn't straighten up, and his one last chance is to go do some community type service for I can't remember, like maybe 3 or 4 months at this home, and it's like an old home facility, and he goes there, and he's supposed to be like this custodian, a janitor type of role that he's performing there at this home. He starts to notice pretty early on that things are a bit off, and he ends up finding out the totality of what is going on with these creepy people at this home. And then, of course, there's, obviously the big reveal, the climax, and then it's over. And I only took a few notes. I just wrote writer, director of Purge movies. You can tell something is off. And then I wrote overbearing score and shaky, tilted camera work. One of the problems with this movie for me was that there was this almost constant score, like it needed to remind you that you should be scared, that you should know that something is off, like that, and a lot, too much. And a lot of the camera work, like when they were showing stuff, and especially when stuff was getting really crazy and it was going like the camera all would be tilted, and then it would be shaky, and it would be kind of going in and out, and yes, it was crazy, Chainsaw. It just was not executed very well, and so I didn't even have the energy to do a review of it. So this might just substitute as a review unless I do one of my quick take, short audio review type things for films that I don't really want to spend a lot of time actually talking about, but just to let you know about the film. So yeah, I just wasn't overly impressed with it. I'm curious to see what the rest of the critics are going to think about it. I kind of feel like they're probably going to feel a bit similar to me. I don't know that I can adequately put into words while I'm just sitting here talking off the top of my head everything else that was a problem with it. Sometimes the acting felt like a bit much, when things were revealed and certain characters, you find out more about certain characters and stuff is crazy, and they're just like acting so, it was a bit cringe and silly, and I just was not crazy about it. And I see here that deleted sub to Chainsaw. That's awesome. Chainsaw is great, you guys. If you're not familiar with his channel, he does a lot of reaction stuff, but every Wednesday he also has this live stream that he does called Council of Creators, where a bunch of fellow YouTubers just gather together and talk about stuff. And I've been on there several times. It's a lot of fun. Um, I usually join when it starts at about 9, and then about 10:30 I have to dip because it's starting to get to be my bedtime, but also things things start getting a little bit crazy and wacky after the hour and a half mark. So it's usually a good exit time for me. Nothing super bad, but just, just craziness, probably because it's so late for everybody and they're starting to get tired. And also Deleted Scenes, his channel as well, where we do a lot of live stream discussions. If he had a mystery movie in his area, we would be doing this live stream together. But he didn't because it was only AMC. Next year, oh my gosh, next week, this coming Monday, we all have a mystery. I know Regal does. I'm not sure about, I don't know if Cinemark and AMC will, but it's a PG film, and I can't remember, Deleted, which was it you that threw out the suggestion of what you thought it was? Oh, The Bad Guys 2. I think someone suggested it might be that. Maybe. I've never seen the first one, so I don't know if I should watch. I don't know if I'll have time to watch the first one, you guys. A lot of movie watching and other stuff that has to be done. So that's about all I have to say about the home. I was going to just go ahead and talk some about LitRPG Con, which I just got back from yesterday. Partly to just share it with you guys because I'm still pretty excited about how the weekend went. But also, let me stop the screen. But also for this to serve as kind of a memory, a recorded memory. Instead of me sitting down and making a review and editing it and all this stuff, I'm just going to talk off the top of my head about how the week went, and be good to come back to it if I want to sort of relive those memories from time to time. Now let me make this screen. Oh my gosh, how can I exit out this screen? Sorry, hold on a second. Technical difficulties, you guys. I'm trying to figure out how to... Okay, close window. All right, there we go. So I was going to bring up the folder that I have of LitRPG Con. I've got some pictures to share with you guys, and then also was going to just talk a little bit about the con with you guys. I'll start by doing that. Oh yeah, sorry, hold on. If I'm missing any... Oh, I'm sorry, I missed all these comments. Okay, we need you in the... I'm not good at chaos, Chainsaw. I usually just kind of start to get real quiet and then just back away, into the bushes when chaos happens, because I don't feel like I'm original enough or funny enough to join in with the chaos. And about Deleted, I kind of interrupted myself about his channel. He does a lot of live streams of these mystery movies, but he also does a lot of watch-along streams. So... that's the type of content that he does, and he is always busy. I don't know how he has the energy. Yes, Regal on the 28th. I was thinking The Bad Guys 2, but who's to say? They may sneak something else in on us. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, The Bad Guys 2 fits with the criteria, the rating, and it fits within the time, the parameters of the time. We'll see. I figured out what last night's movie was going to be when I just looked through the app, and the game fit those, fit all those points. And the game, gosh, the home fit all those points. And so that's what it ended up being. Davey, so hoping that the screen... Oh, yeah, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. I did not check any sort of discussion about what it might end up being. When I saw it was the home, you decided to stay home. I was okay with it because it kind of intrigued me. It's definitely something that I probably would have watched on streaming, but I kind of wish I had saved it for streaming, because then I would have saved myself the trip and the $5 or $6 it cost. Not crazy amount of money, but still, it was... I had just gotten back from Denver, and so it was a long... yeah. Right? It was a long weekend, and I was tired. I still feel like I'm recovering. Lord have mercy, I got a lot of sleep last night, but I still feel like it might not have been enough. Yeah, it says I got more than 9 hours of sleep last night, but I don't feel like it was the best quality sleep. Anyway, whatever. Okay, let me close out my notes. Okay, let me talk about LitRPG Con. I'm sorry, you guys. Hi. Okay, LitRPG Con. For those of you who don't know, which many of you probably do by now, I work with Soundbooth Theater, which is an audiobook production company. And in fact, I was with Soundbooth Theater before it was even Soundbooth Theater. It was just Jeff Hayes and me. And I was his audiobook proofer, and then things just kind of snowballed in a good way from there. It just got bigger and bigger. And we, are attempting to establish ourselves as a formidable force in the audiobook production business and as a competitor to other production companies. And our main genre right now is, and has always been, what's called LitRPG. If you've never heard of LitRPG, think stories like Ready Player One, where it involves something to do with a game, and a lot of the story is involved in a game world or a game system. It can be also things that, like progression fantasy, is also kind of under this umbrella of all of that. And I hear pitter patter of feet. One of my dogs. Oh, I'm sorry, Levi. I didn't mean to kick you, baby. Hold on. Come on, sweetie. I'm sorry. His little nose was right there, and I moved my foot. Hold on a moment. Let me get him up here. Come on, baby. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. Okay. All right. What was I saying? Oh, progression fantasy. And when Dungeon Crawler Carl came out, written by Matt Dinniman, okay, this right here. If you haven't heard about it yet, you will, because it's being made into a TV show, and that's going to make things even bigger and crazier. Yes, Levi, little Levi. Yes, Levi's got fans, y'all. Dungeon Crawler Carl kind of exploded the genre for a lot of people, and even if you're not a fan of LitRPG, which I openly admit to not being, even though I work with Soundbooth Theater, it's not my favorite genre, but the community is a fantastic group of people. I will say that. They are absolutely wonderful. Dungeon Crawler Carl appeals to people who aren't specifically fans of LitRPG, and it's almost like a gateway drug for them into the LitRPG world. In fact, my cousin was telling me a few weeks ago that his friend just randomly started talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl to him and was saying that it's his favorite series. So, it's kind of getting out there. A lot of people are paying attention to it. And a couple years ago at Dragon Con, Soundbooth Theater hosted an event called LitRPG Under the Sea. We held it at the aquarium in Atlanta. And we expected about 200 people would show up. More than 700 people showed up, which I think, if I remember correctly, that was the genesis of, hey, Corey, I am so sorry I missed you in Denver. Corey, the airport experience yesterday was not great. And I'm going to go into that when I go through the pictures, because I'll go into that after a bit. What I was saying was, I believe that LitRPG Under the Sea at Dragon Con in 2023 was the genesis of the idea to create a con specifically for LitRPG. It's a very niche sort of genre, niche sort of, group of people and authors, but very dedicated fan base. And last year, Emily with Soundbooth Theater, she's our marketing manager, and Geneva, who I think she runs LitRPG Legion, maybe on Facebook. They began planning out this con, and it was held at Denver, and it was Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. we had a crap ton of guests and panelists. And hey, Enigma, how are you doing? Thanks for stopping by. Glad you're still alive. I am too. I'm recovering from LitRPG Con. Anyway, we had a lot of stuff going on. It wasn't super crazy. It was a small con. I think we had attendance right at about 1,200, which was our goal. That was what we were hoping to get, and that's what we got. And the facility where it was held was the Grand Hyatt in Denver, in downtown Denver. And it was perfect. The facility was perfect. There was one floor number 2, where most of the panels and stuff happened, or a lot of the panels happened. There were a couple of panel rooms down in the lobby area, and then across the street, just right across the street, not really even the street, but like across the valet area to another building, there were other events that were being held, like laser tag and some panels and stuff with Matt Dinniman and Jeff were there. And it was an amazing event. It was a huge success. We're already going to do it next year at the same place. It might eventually go to maybe Kansas City, because that's where the Soundbooth Theater headquarters is located. Don't know yet, but we know that next year it's at Denver. And the dates are July 10th through 12th. If you guys are fans of the genre, stay tuned for more news about that. So I left to go there on Wednesday, and I came back yesterday, which was Monday. Sorry, hold on. Text. Let's see what's going on. Okay. And I rented a car initially to drive from the airport to the hotel because I had a bad experience with Lyft, not with any of their drivers, but with their customer service. I don't like to travel by myself, like in a Lyft or Uber. I don't feel safe. And my brother, who's a 911 dispatcher, has said they get a lot of calls about Uber and Lyft drivers being weird and doing things they shouldn't be doing. So I try to play it safe, y'all. I try to be very cautious about certain situations, and that's one of them. And I wrote Lyft. I'm just going to say it right now. What happened? I wrote Lyft, and I asked if there was any way to insure in their, I think it's called Women Plus or something like that, where if you ask to be paired with, well, basically it's called Women Plus, and if you choose that, you'll be paired with a woman or non-binary. So I wrote them and I said, is there any way that we can guarantee, as a woman traveling alone for safety, is there any way that I can guarantee, or you can guarantee to me, that if I select that I want a woman driver, that it's actually going to be a biological woman? Because non-binary doesn't mean you're a woman, and neither does someone saying they're a woman nowadays. You know, that's just the time we're living in right now. And I personally feel like I have a better chance of defending myself if a woman tries to do something. So they deactivated my account because they said I was being derogatory to their rep or whatever. And I totally wasn't. I was just asking this freaking question. And then they later reactivated my account and gave me a 10% coupon, but it's like, screw off. I'm not working. I'm not using their services anymore. So I rented a car to do the Denver thing, and it wasn't cheap. I drove it to the hotel, and then later that night, talking with my Soundbooth peeps, they convinced me to return the car the next day because it would save a lot of money, and they said I could have a ride. One of them would give me a ride. Well, that whole thing ended up changing, and I'll get to that story. But anyway, the next day when I returned the vehicle, Justin had to go pick up his girlfriend, Nikki, because she was coming into town. And the first picture that I'm going to share with you guys is of, oh, sorry, let me see this. I will double my efforts to find Sashi's brother. He can't drive me around Denver. He's in Atlanta. You know, if I know the driver, it's fine. It's just, you know, yeah, well, that feature isn't really I don't consider that to be the best feature if there's not like some sort of setting where you can specify you want an actual, woman. Anyway, let's see. Hold on. Oh, just talking amongst themselves. Okay, so the first, yes, we should. That would be amazing. We're going to be in Dragon Con this year's, and at this time we're staying at, instead of at an Airbnb, we're actually staying at a hotel real close to the Westin, which is where a lot of people hang out. So, I got the situation of having to find parking in downtown Atlanta, which is not something I'm looking forward to. So now I'm going to go ahead and just start showing you guys some of the pictures that I took. I won't show the videos because I'm thinking of taking the videos and maybe just making something to put on my channel. But we had a professional videographer there and a photographer. So whatever they come up is going to be tons better than what I can. But I just want to talk about it with you guys. So let me see. Share screen. All right, here we go. All right, let me make this bigger. Drag it up here. Oops, sorry. Excuse me. I have to put it up here first. Now let me make it bigger. Okay, so one of the things I was looking forward to in Denver was to see Blucifer. See Blucifer here? I had heard this episode about him on the Conspiracy Theories podcast. And the story about him is kind of interesting, but I didn't catch sight of him when we were landing because I don't like to sit by the window. I don't like to look out the window and be reminded of how high we are because I'm already very nervous about flying. I hate it. It scares me, even though I understand statistically it's safer. I get it. I know. My brain knows that. My heart doesn't. My lizard brain doesn't. So I didn't catch sight of Blucifer, but this is a very terrible picture of him as Justin and I were headed towards, we dropped off the rental car, then we got in this shuttle to go to the airport, and I took this very blurry picture of Blucifer. That's the best one I got. You should look up the story of his creation. It's very interesting. That whole Conspiracy Theories episode it was about the Denver International Airport, and they talked about Blucifer, but the whole thing about the airport's kind of interesting. So yeah. All right, so this happens to be, so my cousin, remember I said my cousin said that his friend was talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl? Well, my cousin brought the book into town, gave it to me, and I took it to Denver to have Matt sign it. So this is the book, which I accidentally ended up leaving in the hotel lobby yesterday when we left for the airport. Fortunately, one of our SBT peeps, Sierra, snagged it. All is well. Jeff has sent it to me, so it'll be here in time to give to my cousin when he comes into town this week for Galaxy Con. And I won't be in town because I'm going to San Diego Comic-Con on Thursday. So we're not gonna be able to see each other, but yeah. So there's that. I had Matt sign it, and he was very kind enough to do that. So this is, so I shared a room with Annie Ellicott at the hotel. Annie Ellicott is one of our lovely voice actors, fantastically talented human being. She's a beautiful singer, and she's a wonderful actor. She has this little funny picture that she put up, just put it up on the table. And I was like, what is this about? And she started laughing, and she explained it to me. It has something to do with her childhood and her fear of aliens. It's a whole story. It's really funny and cute. And I thought it was worth taking a picture of. This is my computer. Oh, part of my computer bag. See, there's my camera. I'm sorry. The mouse is not in line with the screen, by the way. Anyway, so there's that. Okay, this was rehearsal night on Thursday night before the event started on Friday. We had a variety show on Friday night. This is Jeff. I'm going to try to line it up. This stupid thing is just not. This is Jeff, far left. And here's Annie. And this is Ryan. And this is Travis Baldry. Travis Baldry has done some work with us. He's not like one of our, official voice actors, but he has collabed with us on some projects. He worked on, one of the things he worked on was Dungeon Crawler Carl 6. He played Raoul the Crab. That was the same book that Patrick Warburton did voices on for us. And so, yeah, here they are rehearsing. The variety show that we put on this year was freaking fantastic. It was so good. We did one in Vegas at Author Nation, which was also very good. I feel like this has, like, the quality of this is a notch above even what we did in Vegas, which was very good. Am I missing any comments? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I didn't even attempt Uber deleted because I felt like if I asked them the same question, they would probably treat me the same way. It is a blue horse enigma, and they call it Blucifer because it has this whole backstory to it. It killed its owner, its creator, not its owner. It killed its creator. Like part of it fell on him and killed him, and so I think his son had to finish the whole thing. So anyway, it was crazy. Yeah, right. Well, the GD signature, that's a line from the story. He's always saying that to his cat, and his cat's name is Donut. Princess Donut's going to make an appearance in these pictures, y'all. His cat's name is Princess Donut. Carl's cat is Princess Donut, and Jeff does a fantastic job doing that voice. When he started live streaming the live read of, I think it was book 6. I'm pretty sure it was book 6. When he started doing the live stream cold reads of that, which is where he just like live streams him recording a book, he said that if there were 500 people who showed up at the live stream, he would get a tattoo of Princess Donut on his butt. When the stream started, I think, if I remember correctly, there were already 1,000 or more waiting. So Jeff finally got the tattoo done earlier this year. There's a whole video about it on Soundbooth Theater Live. Go check it out. Audible paid for it. Audible paid for it because now there's this thing going on with Audible and Dungeon Crawler Carl and Soundbooth Theater. Audible paid for him to go get this tattoo done. They paid for the video of all of that. And anyway, it was funny. And you'll see the tattoo later in these pictures. So yeah. Okay, anything else? I love the fact that there is actually career in Yeah, absolutely. And voice actors, they're as talented as in front of the camera actors. And maybe in some ways what they do is even more challenging because most of the time they have no one else to act off of. They're just in their booth by themselves, creating this scene in their brain and acting off of that. So it's kind of interesting. Okay, rehearsal night. This was a little skit that was done about one of our, well, not one of our authors, but a big LitRPG author. His name is Shirtaloon, and he could not join us this year, unfortunately, because he got very, very, very sick. He is better now. He was recovering, but this little skit was kind of like a funny little thing about what happened to him. I think Travis was saying someone tried to isekai Shirtaloon. That's what he was doing there. Anyway, speaking of Travis Baldry, when Justin and I picked up his girlfriend and we got in the vehicle, the Uber, whatever, Lyft, to go back to the hotel, the driver was asking us, and I'm sorry I've got all these tangents, but these are memories I want to have recorded for posterity. The driver asked us what we were in town for, and we said it was for a LitRPG convention. He said, "Oh, I've been listening to LitRPG. I really like it." So we're like, "Oh, wow, that's so cool. What book are you listening to?" And he said, he started to say the title, and he got Dungeon out, and Justin and I were like, "Oh, Dungeon Crawler Carl," because most people, that's what they've listened to. And it was the driver's like, "I really like your energy." But it wasn't that. It was some other book, Dungeon something. I don't even remember the title of it, but we said, "Who is narrating it? Can you play it for us and let us listen to it?" So he had it in his car, speakers and everything, and he played it. And the narrator was Travis Baldry. Which that was when he's like, "Well, he's going to be here this weekend. You want to come to the con?" Unfortunately, he couldn't because he had to work all weekend, but that was kind of cool. Okay, so more rehearsal. And this was for a skit that Jonathan McLean and someone, I can't remember the guy's name. Was it Sean? Or I met the guy, talked with him multiple times. His name has just escaped me. They wrote this skit together. It was really funny. Jonathan McLean, you guys, happens to be one of the co-writers of a movie that came out in 2022 called The Outfit. Now, if you remember, if you don't, it's fine, but if you remember, The Outfit ended up being on my favorites for that year. Fantastic movie, takes place all in one location. Mark Rylance, that's the movie that put Mark Rylance in my brain. I now will never forget Mark Rylance and know his name and his face because of this movie that Jonathan McLean co-wrote with the director of the film. Jonathan has also been in a bunch of other like film and TV and stuff like that. I think more recently Mad Men. So when, Justin started talking to him years ago about, maybe doing some stuff with him, and I found out who he was, I was like, wow, that is so cool, because I love The Outfit. Love The Outfit. And then found out he was going to be coming to LitRPG Con. And we were in this email chain together, Jeff and Jonathan and some other people. We were talking about something. I can't even remember if it had anything to do with LitRPG Con, or it might have had something to do with the project he's going to be working on with us. And I told Jeff, I said, oh, I wanted to fangirl so hard, over The Outfit, but I was being professional. And Jeff gets in the email chain and he fangirls for me. So then Jonathan and I started talking, like in a side email conversation about The Outfit. And he said that when we were in Denver, he was going to tell me a lot of backstory and stuff about how that film came to be. And he did. We had multiple discussions. He is an absolutely lovely human being. His wife is so sweet. They are both wonderful people. And we had some discussions. And then when we parted ways yesterday, we talked about maybe him doing an interview with me on my channel. It's been a while since I've done an interview. And I asked if he would be down for doing an interview about The Outfit, just kind of telling the process, because it's amazing this film made it, like that it got made at all. Very, very interesting story. And so, yeah, that's something to look forward to. Anyway, here they're rehearsing. More rehearsing. Justin, I had to get this picture because his face, look at his face. Oh my gosh. And here's Ahmed. Ahmed right here, our head engineer. They're figuring out like sound effects and stuff. And this is Aaron. He's our lead composer. He also does other work like marketing and stuff like that. But Aaron is so, so talented. Check out his YouTube channel, Aaron J. Morton. He does his own music videos, and his music writing and his singing is so good. So, so good. Highly recommend. And here, this is a skit that John and Annie were rehearsing, and this one was one that Jonathan wrote himself. And so that one was really good too. More rehearsing. All of them rehearsing another scene. I can't remember if this might have been one that Ben Wolf wrote, one of our authors. More rehearsals. I think Justin's character was supposed to have died, and maybe Ryan's too, or Ryan, got down on the floor and they were taking this picture together. So I thought it was a funny moment. So I grabbed a shot. Gary Francis Furlong, a super talented voice actor as well, and a very, very funny person. He never fails to make me laugh. He reminds me a little bit of my cousin, the one whose friend likes Dungeon Crawler Carl. You've probably seen my cousin a time or two he used to stream with us years ago. His name is Corey. He has his own channel too. This was one of the first panels of Friday. I came in on this and saw how big it was, and I just had to take a picture. I was very impressed. And it was I can't even remember the title of this panel, but there was one apparently before it that was really funny, or it was like opening ceremony. There was some other panel that I missed. I couldn't go to all the panels because I had booth duty, and so we had to, just kind of pick and choose what we could go to. And yes, here it is, you guys. Princess Donut. There she is, right there. I said she was going to make an appearance. And here was right after the panel. This is Matt Dinniman, and I realized at some point that day, I have never gotten a selfie with Matt Dinniman. I've known him for years, and I've never gotten it. I've been with him a lot, during cons and all that stuff. Never got a selfie with him. Never. Just, it's Matt. So I just never thought about it. I was like, I should. I need to do this to, memories, good memories. And this was another panel. Do not remember. I think this had something to do with voice acting and, wait, was that in the script or so I can't recall, but this right here is Andrea Parsnow. She's one of our sort of regular-ish voice actors, but she has a very big voice acting career outside of Soundbooth Theater. She narrated a very big series called The Wandering Inn. And here is the far end Justin, Jonathan, Andrea. I cannot remember the guy's name who's beside Andrea. And this fellow right here is, I think he's Heath Miller. He's from Australia. Very talented as well. And this was just a picture of the audience at that panel. And this right here is a picture of, I don't remember who made this, that we have a fan, and his username on Discord is Noodle Dragon. I don't think this was something because he makes a lot of like little, I'll show you, like stuff like this, woodwork things for Soundbooth Theater. And I don't think he made this, but a fan made this here. This is, of course, Carl. This is Samantha, and I am not exactly sure what the name of this character is because I have not worked on all of the Dungeon Crawler Carl books, and I haven't listened to all of them either. So I do not know what this character is right here. Greetings, everyone. Is quite early for me, so oh, hey, Sashi. We were just talking about you. Well, more specifically, your brother. So this was, oh, excuse me, tickle in my throat. This was just an autograph session with Travis Baldry, and this is Laurie Catherine Winkle. She's one of our narrators as well. She's currently living in France, very talented. She is, I think, the narrator or one of the main voice actors of a recent series of ours called Calamitous Bob. Excuse me, y'all. I hate when those tickles in the throat happen. Just another picture of the same thing. This is Gary doing a live reading. There were a lot of live readings that were going on. This was the vendor hall. We kind of decided probably next year live readings should be outside the vendor hall because it was really loud. And when the vendor hall got very crowded, it was hard to hear and you had to raise your voice to talk. And when that happens, for me, if I have to do that for an extended period of time, I strip my throat and then I get sick. So when I felt it start to happen, I started to not talk so much. So fortunately, I didn't get sick after this con. I did after last year's Dragon Con because during our event, we had an event. I talked too much. I had to raise my voice, strip my throat, got sick. I'm going to need to figure out how to steal one of those Soundbooth shirts. I just got a new shirt that says "Suck It Up Buttercup" for my students. So shirts are available on our website. And we have a new style of shirt too that's like, it's busier and it's got, like one of those dice or die that you use, those, I don't know how many sides, hexagonal types of ones that you use in like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. It's got that shape on it. It says Soundbooth Theater. It's called the Crit. I think it's called our Crit something. So yeah, and we sell them at cons. I don't think we're going to have a booth. I'm pretty sure we're not going to have a booth at Dragon Con, even though we are putting on an event on Sunday night again, just like we did last year, except I think this time it's going to be longer. So I need to be super careful. I don't know. Laurie's been living in France for a while. And she speaks French. She's not French, but she speaks French. So, and she's there studying for her master's. Everyone now has a tickle in their, yeah. I don't know what caused that. I would say pollen because pollen is around almost all year long, but I don't know. It just happened when I was talking. Maybe my vocal cords rubbed together in a way that they didn't like, whatever. Okay, so there's Gary doing a live reading. This is in the location across the valet area into the other building. This was maybe the floor where we also had laser tag going on, but this was Matt and Jeff doing a live reading of Matt's upcoming book 8, and a signing and a Q&A and stuff. So it was very full. And this is Jeff, of course, Matt, and this is Rhea from Audible. We had a nice discussion after the panel about movies and the upcoming San Diego Comic-Con trip, because she'll be there as well. She's from Denver, so this was convenient for her. And just another picture of the room. Another picture, another one. This was during the Q&A, I think. This is when they did a signing. They had the crowd here had thinned out, but there was a huge crowd of people waiting to get Matt's signature, and he signed for everybody, and so did Jeff. This is Annie doing a signing and talking with someone at the table. She just asked me to make sure to get photographs, so I did. I got some photos. That's them again. Sitting beside Annie is Shami Stovall, one of our other authors, who wrote a series called, the series is called The Chronos Chronicles. And it's about this warlock that can turn back time by 24 hours. And we are getting ready to release book 3 that's going up for pre-order next week on Tuesday. And I love this series. I have proved all of these books and I enjoy the heck out of them. They are so much fun. Annie does the narration in all the female voices. Jeff does the narration of the main character, the warlock, Adair Finch. And we have Justin doing some characters. Then in book 2, Ryan H. Reed came along and did some characters. And then book 3, Gary Furlong joined us. Hey, Caveat. I'm just talking about LitRPG Con and just reliving my memories of the event. And I'm sharing the pictures that I took. I won't share the videos like I already mentioned, but just right now going through the pictures. And these are organized by the date that they were taken. Oh my gosh. The date that they were took, or the date that they were taken. Lord have mercy. I need to proof myself. This was something that a fan made, and it's got Carl, and I think that's Princess Donut. I think. It looks like Princess Donut with glasses on. Anyway, it was this whole thing. It was really cool. It's a closer picture. Yes, it's Princess Donut. That was I don't know why she's wearing glasses. She usually wears a tiara on her head. But the thing about Carl is he has these white boxers with hearts. And when the apocalypse happened, I totally forgot to tell you about the story. Basically, these aliens come to Earth, and anyone who was inside a building, like Earth got kind of like re-terraformed or whatever, and anyone who was inside a building got killed, and anyone who was outside finds themselves in this extraterrestrial game, kind of like think Running Man sort of, and it's just this big competition and they have to fight for survival. And at some point my mom is going to make a huge pair of boxers, white boxers with red hearts on it, so that we can hang above our booth when we go to cons, big enough that you can see across the whole floor. So all right, okay, this was the night of our live event. And I can't remember if this was actual start of the actual performance or if this was them sort of-ish warming up beforehand. It might have been the actual performance. This is Ahmed and me. We were like a bunch of little kids. Like, he would go up there and do his thing. And it was just so exciting. The energy was so fantastic and the performance was so good. And then he'd come back down when he wasn't needed anymore. And we'd be like, ooh, like a bunch of little kids in it was a lot of fun. And this is just okay. So I think this has to be before it started, because I got up on the stage and I took a picture as the crowd was coming in. Not everybody was in yet, but it ended up being a pretty full house. So that was cool. I want to say I think this might be Jonathan McLean's wife. I'm not sure. Can't tell because it's so blurry. And here's just a picture of all the actors lined up. This is there's Ryan, Travis, Justin, Becca, Annie is beside Becca. There's Jonathan. There's that gentleman. I can't remember his name. And of course, here is Ahmed. Yeah, I almost didn't take. I have 3 leather jackets. I have the one that I wore in Denver, which is, like down to the waist. Then I have another one that's mid thigh. And then I have another one that's full length. They were my Christmas presents to myself last year. And I almost talked myself out of bringing a jacket. But then I thought, what if the nights in Denver are cold? And they were a little chilly, but not terrible. But the vendor hall and some of the panel rooms at this place were pretty chilly. So I am very glad I had that jacket because I needed it more than I thought. Jonathan McClane, that's his, no, it's not the Die Hard guy. But of course he always gets that, people always talking about that to him. His name is Jonathan, and MC Clain. If you look him up, he's done a lot of stuff, and he's a very good writer, by the way. When it was zoomed out, I'm not sure which dude you're talking about, Sashi, but you might have been looking at someone walking around with boxers on, because there were a lot of people cosplaying as Carl there and as Donut. And here they are performing. I'm not sure what song they were performing here. There's Annie. Look at sweet little Annie. She's so pretty. Look at her. She's such a good singer. She's got a lovely voice. And here's Jacob. He's our tech guy, and he also happens to be a saxophone player. And he's got his own band. He and his twin brother and some other people have a band, and I think the name is called Dropkick, maybe? And here's one of the bits they were doing. I think this is the one that was written by Ben Wolfe, one of our authors. Gary with the octopus suit on. Yes, I had to get a close-up of Gary. And Ryan wearing our what we call our narration socks. We say it gives you plus 1 level to your narration skills. I have just the one jacket, and it never gets used much. The weather here doesn't allow it. Well, yeah, I can imagine that would be the case. Here's... I can't wait to see the video of this performance. Gary was really good. And Ahmed, there was a funny moment with Ahmed when they were doing one of the skits, and he was supposed to make this little, it was a Dungeon Crawler Carl skit, and he was supposed to make this little like a messenger type of notification sound. We play it in the books, and he didn't, because he was working off of a revised script. So I think like either it wasn't updated for him or whatever happened, and he didn't do the sound. And Jeff kind of turned around and looked at him, and then Ahmed was busy doing his thing, and so he didn't notice Jeff at first. And so Jeff turned around and he just went "Dring" himself, and then Ahmed realized what was up, and so then Ahmed did the "Dring," and which is funny because the timing was all off, and then Ahmed just turned to the audience and he was like, and he did this. It was a funny moment, even though it was kind of a little bit of a blooper. It was funny, and everybody started laughing because it was really. This is part of the little skit, the one with Octopus Gary. This is Annie and Aaron singing one of Aaron's songs. I can't remember which one. I think it might have been a song from Monster Hunt, LLC. Monster Hunt. Just Monster Hunt. And this was, I think this might have been the Dungeon Crawler Carl skit that they were doing. I don't remember what they were doing here. Oh, it was part of the same. What I did was I just took a picture of each of the actors. And this is Becca and Jonathan. And I can't remember. Something happened here. Oh, yeah. Right here, when Justin's character was supposed to be dead, and they're supposed to be kind of like watching over him. Well, at first, Jonathan and Becca were still standing up, but the music stand, the top of the music stand, I don't know what happened, but it came off in Jonathan's hands, and was just standing there with the top of the music stand. So eventually he just put it down on the floor because there was nothing more that they were supposed to do. And he and Becca both just like got down and, you know, hung out down there with Ryan. It was funny. This was a panel, a voice acting panel. Those are the ones that I liked to go to. Anything about voice acting. There were also lots of panels about writing and, you know, how you handle certain situations in writing and stuff like that. A lot of it revolved around LitRPG, of course, because this was a LitRPG Con. This is Matt signing someone's shirt. Some people ask me to sign their shirt and to sign these different things. I was like, well, I work more behind the scenes. They didn't care. I was connected with Soundbooth Theater, so my autograph is out there now. It's more of the signing. Travis was also doing a signing. And the line for Matt's signing, this is the tail end of it, but it was actually very long. It wrapped around this wall, down this wall, and went out into the hall. It was a long line ready to come in when before the vendor hall opened. This is Annie and Ryan trying to get people to buy our stuff while they're in line to get Matt's signature. You know, because we kind of had to hold them hostage. They were right there. They could buy our stuff. I missed the beginning. Oh, hey, Dee. But I'll stop in quickly and say I was dead set. Okay, Dee. I talked about you specifically when I was doing a quick review of the movie, and I mentioned that if you have problems with eye stuff, you're going to have a problem with this movie. There was a lot of eye stuff in here. And I thought of you as soon as it was showing that stuff. I thought of you. It was a little painful to watch. Ahmed is looking good. Yeah, very fun energy. It's the first time I saw him perform. I've never seen Ahmed perform. One other time I did, but that doesn't count because that was just a video of a time that he performed on the Conan O'Brien show. He had a band and they performed. They had won something, so they ended up performing on the Conan O'Brien show. And he was a lot different looking then. He was a little heavier, and I didn't even recognize him. But he's lost a lot of weight over the years, and he's just trimmed down, and he's eating really good, and he's exercising regularly. So he's very, very healthy now. I'm very happy. I try to talk everyone on the team into eating better and getting enough rest at these cons. They do not listen to me most of the time, but I still try. I want to go through these comments. Speaking of saxophone, Kenny G just performed here. Oh, you went. Okay. How many people are invested in meeting it? Yeah. Matt has a ton of fans, and so does Jeff. And it's really interesting to be on that side of it with them and seeing how enthusiastic and how in love with these guys the fans are. And it's so funny because when people see Jeff or they see Matt, they're like, oh, and I'm like, it's just Jeff, it's just Matt. But I get it. I understand it because that is exactly how I would be if I were meeting someone that I really admired, like let's say Arnold, so I completely get it. But it's an interesting experience, I must say, to be seeing it from the other side. Okay. The head guy from Comic We Are Trying to Start wants me to write a lit RPG before I even knew it was a thing. Okay. Nice. And make sure. Okay. All right. So let me get back to the pictures because I don't want this stream to be too terribly long. This was a group of cosplayers. This is Mongo. There's Samantha. She's like this headless. She's not headless. It's just her head. I think that's Mongo, or maybe that's Mongo. I can't remember. Mongo's one of the velociraptors, and this is Carl, obviously. And I'm not sure who the others are. The goat might be. Is the goat Prepotente? That goat that it showed, and this goat, I can't remember, y'all. It's a big world, these Dungeon Crawler Carl books. This was the Colorado room. This is where we had the opening ceremony, where we had the closing ceremony, where some of these panels were held, where the variety show was held. But when there weren't panels in here, they set up these tables and it was just a bunch of gaming all through the day. And about every hour or so, they would rotate the game at each table. I think people had a lot of fun when I came in here. I just was coming in here to kill some time, try to wake up because I was super tired. I think this was Saturday. I was very tired. I sometimes I slept enough hours, but it wasn't quality sleep. So I was feeling pretty exhausted on Saturday, and just came here to be on my computer, drink some coffee, and I just took some pictures of the gaming that was going on. And here's Matt in some sort of funny outfit, and he asked, "Why is everybody taking a picture of me?" Well, Matt, this is why. That's why. Matt and Jeff have a discussion. And this was Jeff doing a signing. A lot of people like to get Jeff's signature or his autograph as well. People lined up for either Jeff or for Matt. I don't remember. He had multiple signings, I think. Okay, it was for Jeff because these are the same pictures. Now, this was Saturday night. I got to tell you about some drama that happened on Saturday night. I'll get to that in a second, but I want to say hello. Hi. Yes, coffee and gaming. Well, I wasn't gaming because none of the games there were anything that I was interested in. I don't like those types of games. My type of game is Trivial Pursuit, but my very favorite is Taboo. Nobody was playing Taboo. It was all, like fantasy stuff. So I just sat at that side table, and someone thought I was there to help, like, moderate the room or whatever. No, I was just there working, just doing some stuff. A good introductory lit RPG to check out would probably be Dungeon Crawler Carl. I've mentioned it before. I showed the book before. It's this. This is something that appeals to people who aren't even into the genre. So it's probably a good one to start off with. It's super, super popular, and it's going to be made into a TV show, and a webtoon or web comic recently came out last week. It was launched. Comic about that. So you might want to check that out. Now I feel honored to be a regular in the Wednesday Night Creek. Aw. I always like to see you there. I always like to see everybody there. It's been a blast. Yeah. So let me know what you think if you get around to watching it. Anyway, so Saturday night, there was this guy on the far right, he and his wife, and maybe their friend, or I can't remember. It's always the three of them when we see them together. He and his wife and this other guy, and I don't remember if he's just like a good friend or cousin. I cannot recall. I'm sorry, you guys, if you're watching this. But they created this game called Imminent Peril, and it's like an improv game. And you are given this scenario, and then you come up with a character or something like that you want to be. And basically the goal of the game is to write the story that's happening in such a way that you're the one that survives in the end. And it's really funny, some of the stuff that they come up with. So this was the opening round of Imminent Peril. I think the game went about an hour and a half, and then they took a break for like announcing silent auction winners, because there was a silent auction happening outside of the Colorado Ballroom. And it was funny just to hear some of the stuff that they came up with. This is an author over here on this side is Drew Hayes. And of course, here's Annie and then Jeff. Okay, the drama on Saturday night. On Saturday, I was up a little later than I really wanted to be. At these cons, almost all the time, they're pulling late hours. And I don't like to do that, because if I know that I have to be up at a specific time the next morning, I need to rest. I cannot, I've just, figured out as time has gone by, I can't be sleep deprived at these sorts of events, because you're going so hard, you're just working and you're talking, and it's just a lot of stuff happening. And if you don't get rest, your immune system is going to suffer. So on Saturday night, I stayed up, just talking. I think there's actually a picture. It's not in here, but I put it up on my Instagram. Um, I stayed up late. I think it was about midnight or close to midnight by the time, which is early. And a long time ago, I used to stay up until like 2, 3, 3:30, but I don't do that anymore. I go to bed a little earlier so I can get up earlier and I feel more productive. So I went to bed, made my round, tried to talk everybody into going to bed. They didn't listen to me. So I go on upstairs. Annie was still downstairs with everybody else, and I needed to wind down. So I took a Benadryl to help myself kind of start to get sleepy, and, was getting ready for bed and wasn't sleepy yet. So I sat down in the chair and I turned on my computer and I started to log into this screening site to screen a movie called She Rides Shotgun, which I'm going to try to finish tonight if I can, so I can do a review tomorrow before I have to leave the next day for San Diego. So I started, it hadn't even gotten started. Like the opening splash screen was going on, and there was this knock at my door, and I was thinking, well, that's not Annie. She wouldn't knock. She would just come in. And it sounded like an urgent knock. And so I was like, oh, what's going on? So yes, Enigma, I drank coffee and worked while the kids came. Well, we all worked very hard this weekend. I'm the coffee person. I bring my percolator with me to these events. It is still in my suitcase, ready to go to San Diego in a couple days. Anyway, so I get up and I look through the peephole, and somebody I don't recognize, and I'm like, well, stranger danger. So, tying back to the whole thing with the lift, I try to be careful. But I could kind of tell by his body language, he looked like someone that I had seen at the con, and he looked concerned, and he was looking fidgety, and not in a suspicious way, in a concerned way. So I opened the door and he said, oh, and before I, well, no, let me tell you what he said. He said, hey, there's a fire. You need to get out. And I was sitting there thinking, when I sat down to start screening this movie, I had been smelling smoke, but I thought that there was something going on with maybe the wiring of the electrical, the AC or whatever. It was just, I didn't put two and two together, and I heard sirens, but I have heard sirens every day since I was in Denver. So when he said what he said, I was like, oh crap. And you guys, the hallway was full of smoke. There was smoke all in the hallway. It wasn't in the rooms yet, but it was in the hallway. And yeah, yikes is right. And so I did pause to grab some stuff. I grabbed my purse with my wallet, put my inhalers in there because I didn't want to go out without that. And my computer, I packed my computer up. I just bought that computer this year, and it was not cheap, and I was not going to leave it there. Everything else could go. And so I was on the 10th floor. So of course, the elevators were off. And I was a little concerned, but not too terribly concerned, because I think I heard that the fire was like way up top. And so I was like, well, there were no flames. There was smoke, but there were no flames. But you know what? Smoke alarm did not go off, you guys. Found out later it was a light bulb exploded in a supply room or something, and there was a mattress there, I guess, like leaned up in the supply, whatever, and it caught the mattress on fire. Yes, and I'm gonna tell you a funny story about our theme song now. When I get to it. So had to go down 10 flights of stairs. Some people had to go down 20 some flights of stairs. 10 flights of stairs. Get outside. And I didn't know where my group was, and so I was messaging them in the WhatsApp, because that's the app that we use to talk, communicate. Because Justin is he's from Canada, and his phone does weird stuff, so it's just easier to communicate in WhatsApp. So I said something about there's a fire in the building, evacuating. And some of the folks were off at this like milk bar place or something, and they were like, oh shit, so they came back to the hotel, and we were chatting. We were having a video call. Lori called me, and we were, so I knew Lori and Aaron were okay. Jacob was with them, and I was trying to find the rest of my people and found them. They were on the corner of 17th and Welton, I think, or something like that. Found the group. Here a lot of us are. And Emily, she was there with her little baby. She just had a baby in March, and her husband and her mother-in-law. Emily was still down in the lobby. Most people were still down in the lobby because this happened kind of early in the morning. So it wasn't too terribly late. Most people were still awake and doing stuff. And when this happened, Emily tried to go get her family and they refused to let her go upstairs. And she was freaking the hell out. And by the time I found most of them and found her, she's holding the little baby and she's just crying. I mean, everything was fine. She was just very panicked. She's a new mom. The hormones are still doing their thing. And it was very, very scary for her. And I don't know if she was immediately, she was trying to call them and she couldn't get hold of them. And so she was freaking out. So it was crazy. And then I texted Jonathan McLean and his wife. I texted him because I didn't have her number at the time. I said, hey, did you guys get out? There's a fire. And, when I got to this group here, they were there, and he came up and, said, are you okay? And they had been in the lobby like most everybody else had. So we were here until, oh my gosh, it was probably 3. Here we are. Okay. This was a big, this was one of the pictures. Justin took this and he was saying something like, not even a fire could wipe the smiles off these faces. We were just sitting there hanging out, just waiting before we could go back in because they weren't letting people in. They were letting people back in floor by floor, and they were starting from the top, going down. Sprinklers went off in an author's room right underneath where the fire happened, and I don't know if it like destroyed some of his stuff, but it just like messed up the room. Anyway, so crazy. So yeah, we didn't get to bed until late. It was after 3 by the time I actually was able to get into bed. And thankfully I did go to sleep, but I had to be up at like 8 something, 9. So I had less than 6 hours of sleep. Strangely, Sunday, I was more energized than the day before all this stuff happened. So I don't know. It was, So yes, as far as the LitRPG Con, we had this group chat going on and we were like, we need to make these t-shirts that says, so we didn't start the fire. And in the closing ceremonies, when Emily and Geneva, who were the two that organized, in large part, they were the ones organizing this con, they went up on the stage. We played, we didn't start the fire because that's going to be our theme. I feel like that should be our theme now for all the other cons. Yeah, it sounds like it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It took a while. So, well, he's dead now, so I don't think it was him. Hans is gone. He fell off the building. And Alan Rickman too. Anyway, so that was, I think Justin, I can't remember if Justin and Nikki had gone out to the bar place, but I know Ahmed had. And I came over and, they were across the street. And so over here to the left side of the picture was where most of the crowd was standing. So I came across here and just sat with them for a little bit. This was the next day. This was Sunday. John and his wife stopped by our booth. And it's funny? When I met John and his wife was with him, and I saw her face, and my brain was like, I have seen this face before. And then I found out over the course of the weekend that Jonathan and Laura had been at Author Nation in Vegas last year. I never met or saw Jonathan, or if I saw him, I didn't know who he was. But Laura had stopped by our booth and I had talked with her, and that's where I remembered her face from. So it was crazy. It was like, I knew I'd seen you before. So they just stopped by the booth Sunday morning before things got too crazy, or maybe things were already a little crazy. Matt had a really long signing. And this is a picture of Ben Wolf, one of our authors, and me. We were both wearing, this is a joke. In 2023, when we did LitRPG Under the Sea, we got these shirts printed up of Matt. Because Matt was there at that event. And so we wore these shirts underneath our other shirts. And then at some point, we all took off our top shirts and we had these shirts with Matt's, funny pictures of Matt. And for the longest time, Matt never even noticed we were wearing these shirts. So I wore this that day because, you can see Matt's right back here. There he is. He had a long signing that went on for, I think the block was like 5 hours. And so that's why I wore the shirt. And Ben wore his too. It was funny. This is the signing, very long signing. Jeff was signing as well. And here's Jacob trying to be coy and funny. And here's Ryan talking with a little fan. And Ryan is, I've mentioned him before a few times. He is now living at the Soundbooth Theater compound. Jeff has his house, and right next to it, he bought another house, which is turning into, like, he's wanting to turn it into like the Soundbooth Theater compound. It's like 3 floors plus a basement. And Ryan is living there now. Ahmed and his family moved from New Jersey, and they're living in the top floor. Cute little place up there. I absolutely love it. And so, yeah, it's been really cool. When we all go to KC, we all kind of converge on those 2 houses. And Ryan is very, very good with kids, and he's a super talented narrator. Very talented. Enigma, no. I wish I was 5'5". I'm like barely 5'3", if that. I'm not tall at all. Yeah. The little person, yeah, he's really, really good with kids, and we have some of the most adorable little kids that come to our booths and stuff. So here I am taking a picture, a selfie with Princess Donut. I took a selfie with her in Vegas last year. So this was actually, I think, I don't know if someone made it or bought this big cat, but she's got these sunglasses. Okay, she's wearing glasses. And see, there's her little tiara. See it? And on the back side of her, which you can't really tell from here, oh, she's got a Dungeon Crawler Carl lanyard on. But on the back side, she also had a badge. On the back side is this chainmail, not chainmail, but I don't know what you call it. It's like some sort of metal, almost like a little skirt on the backside, someone made for her. And in fact, that vendor was there at the con. She had her own booth set up and everything. No, she's not in witness protection. She is Princess Donut, and she is special. And you should hear the way the way Jeff narrates her. So funny. And I think I'm going to try to make it a habit now. Every time she's around, I'm going to get a selfie with her, because the first time I did it was in Vegas. I put that picture up on my Instagram, and yeah, got to do the selfie with Princess Donut. She's a sweet cat. She's a pompous, stuck up little snarky cat, and the way she's a British cat, where she has a British voice, the way Jeff narrates her, really, really funny. And this is Gary getting us in, we're getting a selfie together. This is right before he had to leave. He said next year he's going to come like the same time frame that I did. Come in on Wednesday, leave on Monday, because he came in on Thursday and left on Sunday, and it just felt like he wasn't there nearly long enough. This was just a picture from another angle. And Ahmed and me getting our little selfie. And here Ben and I got a picture with Matt. The picture that was taken on Ben's camera, Matt was given the finger. And he said he wasn't going to do that for my picture, so he didn't. This is, I believe this is after the closing ceremonies. So Matt got up during the closing ceremonies and auctioned off a rare copy of Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon, the hardcover. It's thick, it's heavy, and it's got this cool artwork on the side. And someone bought it for $5,000. And it was money being raised for charity, so it wasn't anything that went to Matt. It was for ASPCA. Bought that book for $5,000, and you know what he did? And this was one of the people that was connected with that Imminent Peril game that I was telling you about. If you remember my video from Dragon Con, or one of our videos, I don't remember if I put up videos of Dragon Con last year, but they were there at Dragon Con. And I think Arturo made a video of them. The husband was the one that went up and hugged Michael Myers. Anyway, their friend, remember I said there was always 3 of them, he was the one that bid on it, and he turned around and he gave it to the one that he had outbid. He gave the copy because he really just wanted to give the money to the charity. So that was very, very sweet and special. So this was Sunday night. We went to this place called Happy Camper, and this was a woman there at the restaurant. She was not at the con. She saw our Soundbooth Theater shirts. Now, I didn't realize Luke and Ben were doing this until just now. And that's Ben's wife. Anyway, she saw our Soundbooth Theater shirts, and then she saw Matt. I think she recognized Matt. She came up and she was fangirling. So it was kind of funny. You're just above average for Malaysian women. Guys here are 5'6". Yeah. I'm not sure what the average is for Malaysian women, but I know I'm below average for American women. Yeah. Yeah, it was fantastic. It was so surprising because he started it off at $1 and then someone was like 50 and then 100 and then 200, 500, blah, blah, and it gets up to like, oh my gosh, 5,000. I was like, whoa. She No, she actually wasn't. She wasn't angry or anything. She was just very, very excited to see Matt. And then she didn't know that Jeff was right there too. I don't think. Let's see. I don't think Jeff was right here. But at some point she saw Jeff, and she just was fangirling so hard. It was so funny. This was in Denver, Colorado, where the first LitRPG Con was held, and where the second one will be held as well, July 10th through 12th of next year. Okay, so this was the next day. Okay, so remember when I said the thing about returning the rental car and that I'd been promised a ride back? Well, it ended up that I really didn't have this guaranteed ride that I thought I was going to have. So I was a little bit concerned. And it ended up that Jonathan McLean and his very lovely sweet wife, they both offered to take me to the airport because they were going to be driving back to California. They drove there and they drove back, and they took me to the airport and they dropped me off and got there about 9:45. My flight was to leave at 11:05. We had a wonderful visit in the car on the way. It was like a 35-minute drive or so. So it was just really nice to get to know them even more because I'd already visited with them quite a lot. And get inside the airport, go through TSA. TSA flags both of my bags. In my backpack, I think what triggered them was my cheese sticks, my string cheese. And I don't know what they thought it was, but anyway, when they saw it was just, okay, it was fine. Then they opened up my other bag, the hard shell one, and I had too many toiletries for them. Even though they were all the small amount, they were all supposed to be, I don't even understand which toiletries. They cannot expect you to put all of your toiletries in one quart bag when you're going to be away for several days. Anyway, they told me I needed to make them fit all in the bag, which was impossible because I had like a bottle of perfume, I had deodorant, I had sunscreen, and okay, thanks for stopping by, Deleted. And some other stuff like some, I don't know, micellar water or whatever you call it, that I use kind of for toner. And I fit what I could, and mouthwash. What I'm really kicking myself for right now is that I didn't just empty the containers. Like, give me a trash can, I'll empty the stuff, because I gave up some of my containers. They were cheap little nothing containers, but it's annoying that I had to, you know those TSA people. I'm sure they enjoy a lot of stuff that people have to sacrifice in their line. Stupid and annoying, and that's one of the dumbest rules about the toiletries ever. Oh, just TSA, I can't with them. So then after I'm being held up there, I'm waiting for her to just, number one, get my bags, then deal with that situation. Then I'm getting closer and closer to the time they were going to board at 10:20. I get down to where the tram area is, and the trams weren't working. There was a huge crowd in the platform there where you had to get on the trams. Huge crowd. Finally, they get working, and it's just getting closer. It's getting like, oh my gosh, they're going to start. They're going to load. This is loading time. This is boarding time, not loading time. Listen to me. Get to the terminal, and my gate was A81, and it was all the way at the end of the freaking concourse. And I finally got there well past the time they were starting to board. And the saving grace for me was that Frontier was running behind, because by the time I breathlessly ran up to the gate, the plane had just got there and people were getting off. So I'm really bummed about the fact that I was not able to meet Corey from Wilkie's Music and Movies, because we were going to try to at least meet up at my gate. He was getting in that morning at 10 something. And I think his terminal was B. He wouldn't have made it to me in time, just because of the whole tram situation and how far, you had to walk to get to where you got. But unfortunately, we couldn't meet up. I'm really bummed about that. And it was when I was going down into the tram area when I saw that it was all full and trams weren't working. That was when I realized I had lost my Dungeon Crawler Carl book. I had left it behind, the one that I got signed for my cousin's friend, and got on the group chat. And Sierra said that she had picked it up. She, found, was it made out to Chris? Yes, made out to Chris. I got it. Thank goodness. So Jeff, like I said, mailed it to me today. But yeah, so that was some exciting stuff happening. And this is the plane. It was hot. It was like a workout just getting into the freaking plane. I was sweating like crazy. It was hot. Oh, okay. So then this was just a post I put up. I wanted to find a picture that was taken. Let me see if I can pull up I put this picture up of my Instagram before I went to bed, before the all the drama happened. Let me pull it up and I'll show it to you guys. Let me go to my profile. Sorry, hold on. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Let me drag my Instagram up here. Make it bigger. Just a second. Bear with me, please. Yeah. This was, just hanging out with them before the fire drama happened. Yeah. So this is, of course, me, obviously, Jacob, Aaron, and Lori. So let me, so that's all of my LitRPG Con stuff, I think. Those are all the main memories that have come to me. Let me see what comments are going on. To be fair, some of the TSA people deal with some really, I'm sure they do. People get very dumb about how to get through security. Yeah, I'm sure they do. But to me, the whole thing about, yes, of course he does. Of course, that's my desktop. That's my second monitor, but that's also the desktop wallpaper picture that I have on all of my computers. You too, Sergeant. You're welcome, Connie. I'm glad you guys, I hope you guys enjoyed it anyway. I just wanted to get this memory, out there for posterity. I don't think there's anything else to mention specifically, just to reiterate again how wonderful the event was, and everything flowed really well. We are going to start looking at feedback from people. I already have one suggestion for some improvement on the schedule side of things, so it'd make it more easy to find different talent that you want to, if you want to go to their panels and stuff. So I'm glad to hear that, Connie. So yeah, looking forward to next year. It's going to be, I know it's going to be fun, probably be a little bit bigger. I don't know that this is going to be a con that we're going to just let it explode and get huge, because, it was really nice and comfortable. Things weren't out of control, and it felt more intimate and more friendly and more open. They've been talking about this con on Reddit, in the LitRPG subreddit, talking about how everybody felt so approachable, and because it just feels like a little, small community, family, whatever, and people are very kind, and they love the stuff that we do, and they really appreciate the talent of our voice actors. And I had some people, came up and talked to me about my channel because they watch us on Soundbooth Theater, talking about the different movies for the cinema. And some of them were kind of bummed. Oh, we missed the one in July. And it's like, no, you didn't. We just postponed it to August because there's just so much going on. But in a couple days, like I said, I go to San Diego. First time ever at Comic-Con. My kids are going to have to, we have a local con going on here, and that I go with them every year to that con, but they're going to have to go there by themselves this year. And my cousin is the one who I got the book autographed for his friend. He's coming into town, and he'll be able to hang with them. So I gave him my ticket. So yeah, I'm looking forward to San Diego. I have a guaranteed pickup from the airport because Audible is getting a driver to come get us, and going to get a driver to drive me to the airport, even though I leave at a different time than Jeff. So I really appreciate that. Takes a lot of worry off. We've got, staying at this hotel that's like half a mile away from the con. Looking forward to that. I know Chris Gore is going to be there. I'm going to try to find him. I do not know if I will be able to. I know they have a panel, but I can't remember what night. He sent me the information when I asked. They got some sort of meetup going on at some pizza place, but it's like 4 miles away. I'm not going to go to that. Maybe Polly from Latino Slant will be able to come down and, we can visit a little bit. I have no clue. I'm mostly there for Soundbooth Theater and, the dungeon crawl stuff, and I'm just looking forward to seeing what the con is like. I know it's big. I used to think it was the biggest one, but it's not the biggest one in the country. The biggest one in the country is LitRPG Con. No, I'm sorry. Listen to me. I got LitRPG Con on the brain. The biggest one in the country is New York Comic Con, which we went to last year. I don't think we're going to go to that one this year. But anyway, let me address some comments before I start to wrap it up. Oh, I don't think she took him out. I don't think she took any of the dogs out. Did she take Chibi out? Yeah, I asked her to take them out at 8, but she did, because I knew I'd still be streaming. Hold on, you guys. Sorry. Just getting the dogs some water. Did you remove their water? Thank you. Please bear with me. What was I saying, Javier? I said I was looking forward to the San Diego Comic-Con experience. It's not the biggest one. I thought it was. New York Comic-Con is the biggest one, which was where we were last year. So let me address some of the comments before I start to close this out. Please excuse my dog slurping up water. Enigma says, this was great. Good job on sharing. Thank you. I know some other people took much better pictures than I did. I was actually thinking about that this last week due to none of the mystery movie. My thought was, hopefully Sin is doing good with Soundbooth. Yes, it's been great. I love hanging with my Soundbooth people. They're like family. I just really love them. We have a very unique and wonderful group that we've pulled together of very diverse people in all ways, diverse in all ways, but we work well together. Excuse me, I got another dog. Come here, babe. Hold on. Be careful on your jet lag, going east and west. Yeah. Well, I'm not going to travel like that again until probably next year when I go. I'm assuming I will be going to Planet Comic-Con in Kansas City. I don't know that we're going to Vegas again this year. When I go to Dragon Con, I will be driving. So it will be, won't be as hard. Although doing that much traveling can justify. Absolutely. I did drink a little bit more coffee, a little bit more caffeine on Saturday because I figured I might be up a little later because there was that game. I wasn't counting on the stupid fire, but I had 2 cups of coffee like I usually do. And I was thinking about making another cup, but then Jacob went and got me some green tea with mango something or other. But because I drank it unsweetened, it was nasty, but I chugged it down because I wanted the caffeine. So yeah, great time. And I honestly don't have much more to say about that now, but I think I've gotten most of the important bits out. And I'm glad I caught this, got it out there while I was remembering it. Whenever we get our professional videographer, whenever she's got all that stuff together, I'll be sure to share whatever goes up on Soundbooth Theater's channel and share whatever pictures I can. And also maybe some of the videos that I took, I'll go through and clean up, like moments where there was a moment in the performance, the variety show performance on Friday where the final song, Ahmed's standing back there, with the computer to work the sound effects. And it was a nice song. And he turned his phone light on and he's waving it like that. And then eventually the entire audience did it. So I got up, I was recording and I got up and I ran to the front of the room and I got a picture of that, a video of that. Got a video of that. So the moment where I get up and run, obviously I would like to edit out those parts and make the transition a little smoother. But so maybe I'll put those sorts of videos up on my channel. Maybe just make it kind of either one long one or break it up into the different skits that they did, because most of the video taking that I did was during the variety show because they were so good, but I didn't film the whole thing. So yeah, I think that's it. thank you to everyone who hung around and listened to me yap by myself. I had invited Jeff to come on if he wanted to talk about it, but he's a little tired. You know, he's so much. Shit. Sorry. Oh, someone's ringing the doorbell. Hold on. That scared the crap out of me. Hold on a moment. Hold on. Sorry, I'm messaging my daughter. Okay. What the hell was I saying, y'all? What was I even saying? What was I saying? I completely lost my train of thought. I was on a roll too. Oh my gosh. No, I'm not. Not really. Something got them going nuts. Yeah, someone's at the door. I had the door locked, and it might be my son. I don't know. I asked someone to go get the door. But Tifa, that's what Tifa was. It might be my son wanting to come over. And anyway, I completely lost my train of thought. I said I invited Jeff, but he was tired. He's in more demand. He's in a lot of demand at these cons. But yeah. If there's anything, it was something about Jeff. I think I was saying that I invited him to come. He was a little tired. Kind of he wanted to wind down, and I think he said that they were thinking about going to see Superman. I told him I was unimpressed. He said he's cautiously optimistic. Have fun, Jeff. I didn't. So yeah, that's about all I have. I am definitely wrapping it up, and thank you. Like I said, once again, thank you so much for stopping by. I look forward to sharing more stuff of what I've got about this whenever it's ready. And what's in the immediate, I'm going to try to get a review ready for She Rides Shotgun. And next Tuesday, I'm going to be on a live stream with Deleted talking about the mystery movie that's going to be on the 28th. Jeff listened to you, but nope, I wasn't listening to it. No, he never does. Not when he's in it. Nobody really listens to me very well. First year in Vegas, they absolutely did not. They would stay up late. They would drink too much. Stay up way late. I go to bed 3, 4 and have to be up at, 7, 8 in the morning. I said, y'all are going to get sick. You're going to get sick. You need your rest. You need blah, blah, blah. Nobody listened. Almost all of them got sick, except for me. So I lorded it over them. I said, if I escape this without getting sick, I am going to lord it over you guys forever. And I do. Anyway, okay. Yep. This is my, third, fourth attempt at ending the stream. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Muchas gracias to everybody for showing up, for talking. Thank you for listening to me just yammer on. And I look forward to the next time, you guys. Bye.